All right, everybody. Welcome into live, Breaking the Grade live with John and Josh. We have a little bit of a different look today, John. I went with portrait mode because every time I go live in Restream, it says, "Do you want to do it in portrait mode?" And I always say no. In the last 2 weeks, I've said yes because why not? So
I
here we
think it looks
are.
good.
We're in portrait mode. Yeah. Um, nice to see you. It has not been a long time since I saw you because I saw you on Saturday up in beautiful Boston.
That was awesome. What a beautiful day. What a great cause. What a great run. Man, Chestnut Hill and Boston College is a beautiful place.
It really is. Chestnut Hill, Boston College, the fall.
The
We got to run with
foliage.
the foliage. We got to run with my good friend Kevin Skinnin, one of my best buddies. Unlucky for me, in the long run, quote unquote, I have short legs. Unlucky for me in the short run, you and Kevin are marathon runners. So although this was a 5K, I think I'm still recovering from that asthma attack that I had.
Really? Wow. Well,
It's
the last
well,
quarter mile was really uphill. It was tough. It wasn't easy, but we got through it together in good fellowship in the spirit of that race and that cause.
yeah.
But I think there were 2,000 people there. Right? That's a pretty big 5K. It was really, really awesome. It was really, really great to see you. Great to meet Kevin and to be continued. Other races, other good causes, man.
I think you're right. Yeah, other races and other good causes, and just also supporting each other. And it's interesting that we talk about supporting each other. We're going to talk about LinkedIn today and how to unlock the potential that people can leverage LinkedIn for in terms of building their business and education. And one of the places I always encourage people to start is just supporting others, just
Mm.
supporting others on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn, I think, to a lot of people, is pretty intimidating. I think they see it as a time suck, but most of the people that you and I know, and I've learned a lot of this from you, is that when you support people, it definitely comes back, and especially when you don't do it from a place of tit for tat. And what I have seen is that the clients that I have, when we pull back the pressure and we say you don't have to post every day, and even when you do post, it doesn't have to be the greatest thing you've ever written. You know what? Forget it. 2 days a week, just go in, follow people, and then lift up their posts. That's a great place to start. Just supporting people. So we're going to talk about that. But first, I wanted to ask you, what are you doing on LinkedIn days, and what are you thinking about LinkedIn these days for education businesses and their CEOs?
What I'm thinking about are a lot of questions, and a lot of questions that you could answer a lot better than me. I'm not um, an expert in posting and social media and influencer marketing and how to really work the mechanics of LinkedIn. And I just know that it's table stakes. It's mandatory. You have to do it. You have to do it well. You have to be conscientious about it. But sometimes I do wonder. I'm like, okay, I spent the time, I posted, and I got 3 likes, or I got 1 comment, or no comments. And like how that becomes sort of a residual, or putting that in the bank. So I totally agree that, lift people up and support others. And I try to do that just as a matter of course, because I love seeing my colleagues and I love seeing them post, and I'd love to see them, getting ahead. And just like you, Josh, your main stage talk yesterday was
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal. And I love looking at the comments. But I myself have questions as to how traffic, comments, likes translate into leads and closed deals.
Yeah. First of all, it's important to point out that I was in, after I left John in the race, I went to DC, and then I was at
Another
DC Startup Week all week.
crushing win.
Another big win, baby. It
Wow.
was. It was an
This is
alternate
getting
universe in
interesting.
that stadium. Yeah. But yesterday I did speak at DC Startup Week, man. And I was lucky enough to be invited to do it, although I was persistent about it. And I did call in a couple of favors from some of our friends that we know, Catherine, who I have to talk to you about, Lisa Friedlander.
Awesome.
And
Rock
last
star.
week, yeah, they are. Last week on Wednesday of last week, in the middle of the night, I got an email saying, come speak at
Well, you
DC.
got to do that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Right. And they're
Good
like,
crowd.
we're going to speak in the auditorium. I was, oh, whatever. I don't know what the auditorium, at the MLK library. So I'm like, sweet. That's really, really a cool honor. And I honestly think that, yes, I was persistent, pleasantly persistent. Yes, I had some people say some things for me, but I've, always tried to be good to people as well. But also, I think my credibility that I build and have built on LinkedIn and consistently posting and talking about things that are relevant to an audience helps people when they say, who's this Josh who keeps emailing me? Who's this Josh that Lisa wants to see speak? Let's go check out Josh. Oh, okay. There's some credibility there on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And so I also wanted to point out that, by the way, I'm flying to Mexico in 4 hours, which is why I look like I'm getting on an airplane here and not my usual attire. But to your point, John, LinkedIn has always been, you and I, we don't disagree on this. Many things you and I just like gel. But I think LinkedIn has always been one of those things that you've been a little curious about. Let me ask you this. Let's say you're preparing for a marathon, which you've done many times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or an Ironman. How many months do you have to prepare for an Ironman?
At least 6 if you've done one before, and probably more like 9 to 12 months.
Right. And so what I have seen, and jokes aside, but kind of, you're the great John Gamba, right? So you're
Nah.
out there and you've been building this up. You've got this credibility, and your credibility is not necessarily built up on LinkedIn. A lot of mine is. So yours is built in other places, and that's totally cool. The point that I'm trying to make is you post sporadically, so you can't necessarily expect that you're going to have the results, that somebody who posts all the time in a place like LinkedIn. I'm starting to see some of those results. You post, I get comments and connections, and people want to talk. I'm seeing it post DC Startup Week. I can't keep up. The comments are very flattering. So for you wouldn't necessarily, even the great John Gamba, be able to train once for an Ironman and then just get going. And I think of LinkedIn as a practice, daily practice. Granted, I have my team helping me, but I think of LinkedIn as something you have to do day in and day out. You have to not only post, but you have to comment. And then I think of it as a gym. And if you only wanted to walk into a gym, which would be kind of weird, but if you just wanted to walk into a gym and spot people, you could start in LinkedIn that way and just begin to kind of see how it works and get your name out there and just be supporting people. Eventually, you're going to be pumping your own iron. So don't hear me. I'm not at all criticizing your approach to LinkedIn. You don't necessarily leverage it the way I do. You have other tools that you use to help people understand how you can help them. But for me and others who I think have begun to drink the LinkedIn Kool-Aid, by having that banner that screams credibility. And I'm sorry I did not know your banner was University of Pennsylvania for so long. My apologies. You've got your great picture, and then having that headline, I help who using what method get which results. And then you have, a profile that is a sales funnel and not your resume. If you use LinkedIn to attract people and send people there, it will do the job for you of helping people connect with you further, wanting then to meet with you.
On that, I love the sports analogy on this one, and the training analogy. And I hadn't really thought of what I'm about to say until right now. And that is, Um, the word that comes to mind is system, right? I think a lot of people, probably you would know better than me, Josh, think of it as like throw a bunch of stuff on the wall and hope it sticks. But
Mhm.
it seems like you're saying, and you're talking about a system. I don't just go to the pool and swim a bunch of laps and hope I can do an Ironman. I get a coach and I think about a training system like periodization. And periodization is the theory of 3 weeks of training hard, 1 week of rest, 3 weeks hard, 1 week of
Mhm.
rest to avoid injury. And your body and your fitness builds through that rest. So it's not just I'm going to run around the track and hope I'm going to get in shape. You have to have a system that actually works that you can rely on that'll lead to good positive performance. And so I think the founders and the entrepreneurs who believe that there is a system to follow and who follow that system, which you've kind of laid out a little bit, a little sneak peek, um, can expect to have good results.
Yeah, that's a great point. System is a really important word to use. First, we do have a LinkedIn workshop coming up on October the 30th where we're going to dive into not only what your profile should look like, use the sports analogy, what your body, should look like on the outside, but how you train that body. We're going to talk about the systems. And
Yeah.
I think what you're heading towards here, one of the most important parts of that system, and when you're working out is what you put into your body.
Mhm.
And what you need to put into your LinkedIn work, what you need to put into your LinkedIn profile, what you need to put into your LinkedIn content is the messaging that appeals to your ideal client. And we do a lot of that work in the Raise Your Hand campaign, as you know, through the Ed Sales Elevation experience. And then that results in a really strong signature solution. I always think of the signature solution as a piece of glass. And if you smash that puppy, you're going to get 1,000 pieces of glass. And each piece of glass is really a piece of content, potentially for your LinkedIn profile. And it's a dynamic uh, opportunity for you to continue to talk to people day in and day out, and that they recognize that you're a subject matter expert.
Mm.
And I'll tell you an interesting story. I was talking to one of our cohorts a couple weeks ago about my website. And I was kind of complaining a little bit that I hadn't updated my website. If you go to our website, joshchernikoff.com, and I'm not encouraging anybody to go, it doesn't necessarily reflect my business today.
Yeah.
We haven't updated in maybe 4 months, but my LinkedIn certainly does. And it reflects what I did 24 hours ago and how my life changed when I got an opportunity to speak at DC Startup Week, which was, a huge honor for me being a Washingtonian. And Ernie, who we know well from beautiful California, Ernie said to me, "Man, I didn't even know you had a website." And I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "I've never been to your website."
Mm.
So I think people are so focused on what's going on in LinkedIn, which I'm happy about, that they don't even necessarily look at my website.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Just kind of an interesting thing because websites used to be the thing.
Right.
So on a daily basis, how much time do you spend on LinkedIn and what do you do?
I don't spend much time on LinkedIn. I have a program or a system of posting some of my programming, whether it's entrepreneur breakthroughs or upcoming events or resharing meetups or uh, webinars. So I do a lot of that. Um, I do check a lot of times to see if I have common connections with people. If someone, hey, do you know them? Do you know them? So that's a really good use of the tool. Um, but I will say this that in my capacity of working with entrepreneurs holistically on venture development, which is building a team, building a product, go to market, raising capital, which is where our program, our entrepreneurial programming is focused, all through the lens of research to practice. I have to say, Josh, that more and more ventures and founders are saying, I just can't rely on selling directly to schools because the ESSER money is gone. They take too long to make decisions, too many cooks in the kitchen in terms of who and how the decisions are made. And they're moving to more B2C models. And if they're moving to more B2C models, you better have the preeminent platform that is aggregating consumers and professionals versus the institutions of K-12 higher ed career learning. Better have that locked down as more and more businesses are flocking there. That means AdWords, LinkedIn ads, influencer marketing. Yeah, I think that it's critically important to balance out where you're focusing on capturing leads. If more and more organizations, more and more ventures are moving away from direct sales to schools and school districts.
So one of the things that your folks can do, and we're going to certainly talk about um, Catapult and Penn, um, is to consistently uh, update and um, polish up their profile. A good profile picture, which you have, maybe one of the best in the world. Who knows? We'll see. The headline follows a formula. You talk about a system; it follows the formula. I help who using what method get which results. The about section. Check out my about section. It's not the greatest LinkedIn profile in the world, but it certainly has worked for my business. And we follow a system. To your point, first thing we do is we ask questions of the ideal client. Then we demonstrate a little bit of credibility, my 2 decades in the space. Then we let people know that we can help them. Then we talk a little bit about our process. Then we demonstrate some results. And then we have a call to action. And we do that in the about section. The featured section. We just updated my featured section. It's got a way to book a call with me. It's got our signature solution blueprint if you want to download it. It's got my appearance at Penn, the Catalyst event on June 21st, and a couple of other events I was at. And then the experience section. Those are the biggies. So that's a little bit of some work that folks can do, and especially if they want to get some quick wins. There's also the QR code there to join our LinkedIn workshop on October the 30th. Those are some quick wins. Talk about some quick wins that your people can get in terms of Catalyst. I'm going to swap out the QR code here, and I'm going to put up your QR code here for Catalyst. There it is.
Yeah, Catalyst and Catapult. We now have 1,000 general members who are on our Catapult Virtual Accelerator and approaching 100 advanced member customers who are getting connected to learning resources, strategic advisors, classroom practitioners, and academic researchers, all within this this entrepreneurial community of practice. It's exciting to see how this is coming together. Start with an assessment of your business, which gives you a gateway to 4 lanes of acceleration where you can focus on building your business. One of those lanes is market, go-to-market strategies, lead generation, of which you're featured, Josh, and our podcast is featured. And so that's just one small way that people can engage in our programming and get the benefit of support from our ecosystem of advisors and practitioners and researchers within Penn GSA.
I got a question from somebody who I was at the event with yesterday, who was also up at the Penn event June 21st, which I remember that day because it was 2 days before my birthday. Mm-hmm. Do you anticipate doing that event this year again?
Yeah, we do. We're going to run it back. It's going to be either June 5th or June 12th. And really excited about it, and it's going to have a very similar theme. We're going to have breakouts on across those 4 lanes of acceleration. Some really good
Mm.
speakers on research to practice. How do you embed or leverage underlying research to uh, develop your venture, and how you create good evaluative models so you can measure the income, measure the outcomes of whatever you're delivering
Do you
through the
anticipate
educational
it being
content.
one day again?
It's going to be one day, full day, and it'll be across our new building here at Penn GSE, 3700 Walnut. And anybody who wants to, join Catalyst Catapult, we'll be sending out information on that in the coming
Nice. It was such a
weeks
great
and
event,
months.
and honestly, one thing I really liked about it was that it was one day. So it was like a pressure cooker,
Yeah,
super intense, and everybody was doing everything they could to get a chance to meet people. But it was a smaller group, which is fantastic as well. What was there? Probably a couple hundred people there.
yeah, a couple hundred people, which is what we want. We want it to feel intimate. We want it to feel not
Right.
overwhelming like an ASU GSV. Um, and we think we accomplished our goal. And you were a great speaker there, and we got a lot of really good feedback on the sessions and the workouts, the
Yeah. There you go.
workshops,
It's
workouts,
on your mind.
the workshops, and uh, yeah, so
Good.
it's really
Well,
really
I know
solid. It
some
was
people
solid.
who are really
It was great.
interested in making it back there. I'm gonna bring it back to LinkedIn uh, to get us closer to the end here, and I really want to focus on uh, part of a blog that we wrote here. My team wrote, and I'm basically going to read it. And what we said in terms of upping your LinkedIn game is by consistently posting content that offers insights, tips, or solutions you demonstrate your expertise and your value to your audience. When creating content, focus on topics that resonate with your target audience. Use a mix of formats, articles, infographics, videos. Keep your content diverse and actively participate in relevant groups and discussions that allow you to connect with like minded professionals. Last sentence here. By fostering meaningful interactions and providing valuable insights, you position yourself as a trusted authority in the field and attract opportunities for collaboration and growth. I mean, if that's not the most John Gamba sentence in the world, I don't know what is.
I think that's great. I think that's really good advice, really good recommendations. I'll tell you, it reminds me of another sports analogy, triathlon training analogy. Um, and I think this holds with what you just said and what we've been talking about. And we like to say a week before an Ironman or a week before, a big race, the hay's in the barn. A lot of people a week before want to get 2 more,
Mm-hmm.
3 more, 4 more days of fitness in to try to get faster, and that's when you get injured.
Mm-hmm.
You need to rest. And when we say the hay's in the barn, that means you've put the work in, right? You've done what you just outlined. You've posted residually on a regular basis. It's good content. It's professional photography or photos, and you did it. And then you can kind of sit back and take a little time to uh, revel in what you accomplished through your training, and hopefully reap the
Yeah.
benefits with a great race. So I'd say that's important is get the hay in the barn and then have a great race. But you can't get the hay in the barn if you don't have hay, and you can't get the hay in the barn if you don't have a barn. So use the tools, use the coaching, use um, the resources that are at your disposal. Follow the directions. Be coachable, and you can expect
Yeah.
good
I,
outcomes.
I agree with every single thing you said, except for one thing I want to reframe because I think there's this misconception. It doesn't have to be professional photos, and it doesn't have to be the greatest video
Mm-hmm.
setup. Um, it's more about just going to market with who you are and figuring out kind of what resonates with people. It's more about being genuine. So if you just do grab your phone and kind of take that more natural feel, that's okay. I'd much rather the lighting not be right or the mic not be right, or you know I don't want you to get somebody's name wrong, but I'd much rather you get out there and start writing um, than wait until it's all polished up and wait until you think it's perfect. I guess if I were to continue the analogy, I would say that you don't have to be you don't have to have all the bells and whistles, the greatest running shoes, and all the clothes. I'd rather see you start running that marathon or that Ironman.
Yeah, no, I think that's well said. And to clarify what I mean, when I say professional, I don't mean literally hiring a professional to do it. I meant professional as in clean. I mean professional as in no mistake, spelling mistakes. I think authenticity definitely sells, but there's a fine line between authenticity and quote bad lighting and a feeling of it being less than professional. And I think when it is a professional feeling and something that clearly you put some good time and energy into it. I think that matters.
I was told a long time ago by my professor at Northwestern, the Dill School of Journalism, Joe Angotti, is to never have inside jokes when you're on air. And I want to make sure that people don't know that John and I are having an inside joke. What happened last Friday, I landed at Logan in Boston to go meet John. And he texted me. He put it on Facebook and he said, "Who's Josh Gamba?" And accidentally, our team, probably an autocorrect, instead of calling John, called John Josh. And it was a simple mistake. We got corrected. I owned up to it very quickly to John, who said, "No worries, but still, that's on me and our team, and I take the fall for that." But we got it corrected. I think the whole point of this show today is to support each other, John to Josh, support causes, John and Josh to the Red Bandana, and then support people that you don't know. And not only will that feel good, it will also help you down the road. And if that is the way that you start on LinkedIn, that is a great place to start. Just support others.
100%. Agree, and be coachable. Take a risk. Try it. Yeah. Remember the paradox of humility and will. You're going to be coachable, and you're going to run through walls to be successful.
Cool. Well, I'm running to a plane. The only time it is fun.
Sounds like fun.
I'll be meeting my buddy. It's our second year going to Formula One in Mexico City. So we'll go to the practice rounds on Saturday, and then we'll go to the race on Sunday. So I'll be updating him.
I hear by the way, that the pit stops are insane. Like when you go to NASCAR, you go to Formula One, you got to get close and see these. Talk about poetry in motion. Talk about a system.
Yeah. And then last thing before we go here, I'll put this back up here. Hopefully people will grab that QR code, join the LinkedIn workshop. We will do live coaching on your headline, on your banner, on your picture. We'll talk about how we can improve your LinkedIn and get you in that mindset to run your own LinkedIn Ironman, because it is a long race and it's worth it. That's it, my friend. Put the hay in the barn. All right, brother. Good to see you again. I'll update you from Mexico. Thank you.
Be safe.